Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to subscribe, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, the series opens with two high school students, Student Council President Suzume Inakami, and her Vice President, Kazuki Ryuzan, walking through the school halls as various students adore and imagine if Suzume and Kazuki dated. At the same time, our MC, Ken Usato, an ordinary student, helps out around the school, noting how unfair the world can be sometimes. As school begins to wrap up for the day, it suddenly starts raining, forcing Usato to return to his lockers in search of his umbrella to head home. Unfortunately, someone must have stolen his umbrella, but upon spotting someone else's umbrella, Usato wonders if he should use that one, but holds himself back, reasoning that he should wait out the rain. With a couple hours flying by, Usato begins to panic, noting that the rain won't stop anytime soon, but just then Suzume appears, wondering why Usato is still at school. Upon learning that Usato doesn't have an umbrella, Usato gets embarrassed, attempting to leave school without an umbrella, but is suddenly stopped by Kazuki, who states that he has a spare umbrella. Surprised that Kazuki would even know who he was, Kazuki states that since they're in the same class, he should at least get to know each other, handing Usato a spare umbrella. As Kazuki and Suzume prepare to leave school, they invite Usato to join them on their walk home, surprising Usato as he's getting a chance to hang out with the most popular students in school. As the three begin chatting, Usato notes how relieving it is that Kazuki is a kind guy, having always seen him hanging only around girls. Kazuki corrects Usato, stating that he only chats with girls, because they constantly flock to him, prompting Suzume to tease Kazuki for being a loner when it comes to other boys, as they avoid talking to Kazuki out of jealousy. Firing back, Kazuki points out how unique Suzume is, being the top of her class for grades and athletics, along with being gorgeous. Seeing Suzume and Kazuki bickering, Usato feels more comfortable around the two, asking if the two are dating. Surprised at Usato's blunt question, the two reveal that they aren't, and the reason they spend so much time together is because of their student council work. Apologizing for the rude question, Suzume actually thanks Usato for asking them directly, instead of gossiping and speculating. Changing topics, Suzume asks if Usato has any goals after graduating, but Usato states that he hasn't put in much thought. Hearing Kazuki share the same response, Suzume reveals that she too has no idea what to do for the future, as most things she pursues are never a challenge for her. Amazed at how amazing Suzume is, Usato suddenly notices Kazuki acting weird, asking if Usato or Suzume had heard any bells ringing. When Usato steps closer to check on Kazuki, a magic circle suddenly appears below the three, making Kazuki and Usato wonder if they are dreaming, but when Usato turns to Suzume, he notes how Suzume is ecstatic at this strange turn of events. Waking up in a strange location, Usato checks to see Kazuki is fine, but when he turns to Suzume, he's weirded out by her gleeful expression. Just then, a king sitting before them introduces himself as Lloyd Vulgust Linger, ruler of Linger, shocking everyone as they've never seen such a traditional king before. With Suzume growing more and more excited, the king states that he's searching for heroes, revealing that 2 years ago, the Demon King had attacked them. Having been able to temporarily defend against the horde of demons, the king states that he fears the demons have grown stronger, and will be preparing to attack once more. Learning that the king used a forbidden summoning spell to summon them here, Kazuki gets pissed, demanding that they be sent back to their original world. But when the king reveals that the summoning only works one way, Kazuki gets infuriated, forcing the king's knights to raise their weapons. Reading the room, Usato asks Kazuki to calm down, knowing that they will surely die if they act out. Just then, the king approaches the three, kneeling before them as he promises he'll search for a method to return the heroes. Seeing the king's sincerity, Suzume asks how the king selected them, prompting the king's assistant, Welsi, to chime in. Welsi states that the summoning spell targets accomplished individuals, and that the heroes should have heard bells ringing before they came here. Surprised to hear this, Usato notes how he didn't hear any bells, wondering if he was accidentally dragged along. Heading to a different room, Welsi prepares a crystal orb to gauge the hero's abilities, but whilst this happens, Kazuki and Usato have a little chat. Apologizing for dragging Usato into this mess, Usato reassures Kazuki that it was a complete accident, but seeing Usato so calm, Kazuki praises Usato. As Suzume excitedly waits for Welsi to finish up, Suzume is instructed by Welsi to go first, placing her hand on the crystal orb, only for the orb to glow a bright yellow. Welsi states that Suzume has a high affinity for lightning alone with a huge mana pool. Next up, Kazuki places his hand on the orb, emitting a bright white light. Welsi is amazed, as the light affinity is rare, being very powerful against demons. Finally, with Usato placing his hand on the crystal orb, a mysterious emerald green light is emitted, which Suzune and Kazuki note as gorgeous, but Welsi is clearly terrified. Dragging Usato back to the throne room, Welsi reports her findings to the king, happy to report that Suzume and Kazuki are indeed very powerful, but Welsi states that the orb turned green for Usato. With everyone speechless at the news, the king begins to panic, wondering if there is a place to keep Usato safe, alluding to someone that mustn't find out, but hearing the king freak out, Usato wonders why everyone is suddenly on edge, only for the throne room doors to burst open. Marching through the throne room, the king is forced to greet Rose, having expected Rose to take the day off, but Rose reminds the king that she serves the king, so she can't take any days off. Stopping in front of Usato, Rose wonders if Usato is a hero, but the king quickly chimes in, stating that Usato is simply an ordinary human. Introducing herself as the captain of the kingdom's rescue team, Rose hears that the heroes are in another room, leaving to greet them. Relieved that Rose didn't discover Usato's green affinity, the king states that he'll have Usato rest up for now, but curious as to why everyone is acting so strange, Usato lets slip that his affinity is a green color, instantly catching Rose's attention, having not left the room yet. Knowing that Usato is in trouble, the king orders Welsi to get Usato away from Rose, prompting Welsi to encase Usato in a water spell, transporting Usato as far away from Rose as possible. Sadly, within an instant, Rose had already caught up to Usato, easily breaking Usato out of the magic spell, and knocking him out. Having found another healer, Rose tells the king that she'll be taking Usato and training him, but the king cries that Usato had been unfairly dragged into this mess. Back with Suzume and Kazuki, they get worried upon learning that Usato had been taken away to Rose's personal rescue team training facility. Hearing that, Suzume wonders what is so bad about being trained, but Welsi utters that Rose's training methods are definitely unorthodox. Cutting to Usato, he has finally regained consciousness, learning that he wields the rare healing magic affinity, watching as Rose calls for several scary men to enter. Introducing themselves as Tong, Mill, Alec, Gamul and Gerd, Usato is clearly intimidated by the five men's masculine aura. Kicking Tong aside, Rose orders the men to be less intimidating, revealing the five men are not healers, but there are actually two other healers on the rescue team. Since there is no one else to train him, Rose states that she'll personally train him, asking Tong to share a room with Usato for the night. With Usato unable to reject Rose's orders, the five men state that Usato is screwed, forced to train with Captain Rose, but Usato notes how he better rest up, fearing what is to come for training the next day. Check out one of our other videos on the screen or in the info card above. Subscribe, like and comment.